We're joined today by head coach Richard Gary of the Wells College women's volleyball team. In his second year at Wells, saw a program that made tremendous strides from the inaugural modern-day first season in 2012. Coach, talk to us about some general thoughts on your second season coaching women's volleyball here in Aurora.
Well, it's been a really exciting season. We came into this year, with a few more players, a little bit more going on as far as how we could start the season. Last year, very first year, a lot of people that had never played or had very little experience. So we had to start from day one. This is what volleyball is. And this year we were able to kind of jump forward a little bit and get ourselves into, this is how we want to compete. This is what we want as a sense of our team and what we're about. And we created a really positive culture. We were having a lot of fun and doing a lot of action-packed stuff every practice. So that was very exciting. And then as far as, little specific things in the season, we competed at such a higher rate. Teams that blanked us that first year, even I think we had a 25-5 loss in our first weekend last year, and this year we took a set off of that same team and really competed and got to 20-22, somewhere in that area, in each set. And that was very, very exciting for the girls because they could start to see, and when you see that progress happening, you start believing, in what you're capable of doing.
Meredith Kajeski, a first-year volleyball player for you from Mechanicsburg, was the first ever all-conference recipient on the women's side for you. Talk to us a little about the individual performances that you saw from your team in 2013. Certainly, she had 318 kills. She's now tied for first all-time in team history in just one season. So talk to us about what she's brought to the table and some other individual performances that you may have found noteworthy.
Well, it was great to be able to get Meredith because she's the person that you not only want, on the court, but she's somebody you want on the bus trip too. She's a lot of fun to be around on and off the court, and so she's helped us create a really great culture. As well, Zakara Butts was a rock all season long. Her first year they put a lot on her shoulders, and she's undersized in the middle and had some challenges with being as consistent as she could be that first year because she was trying to put so much onto herself. This year, she just settled in, and really she came with a great deal of maturity and really acted like an upperclassman from the very beginning. We had a really nice little competition. We brought in Nadine to compete with Nikki in the libero spot, and that was a lot of fun because the two of them were kind of back and forth all season long. The national team coach calls it co-opetition, and we kind of use that idea that it's cooperative and competitive. So we've adopted that, and they went after each other every practice, and really interchangeable throughout the year. So that was really, really positive growth. Haley Olette did a great job of being able to fill in a lot of different roles for us. We played around with her on the left, on the right. She ended up in the middle when we had some injuries come up, and we were able to move her around well. Steph Parker did the same. She's going to be a live wire. She's a great jumper. She's really athletic, and as we keep kind of getting her comfort level higher, I think she's going to keep developing. And then Taryn, finally, we'll bring in another setter for this year because poor Taryn has not had an opportunity to come off the court, I don't think, in 2 years. I think she's been in every moment of every game. And that can be a lot of responsibility, and it can be pretty tough when things slump a little or things don't go the way you might want or you need to ask a question. You don't have that time. But this year we should be able to do that.
You always mention getting over the hump. Talk to us a little about what that means and what that means to your program.
Yeah, for us, getting over the hump is about building up to the point where you're very competitive with teams, and then being able to turn that corner into being able to consistently beat those teams. And that's what we're looking to. Right now, every game that we're playing, this year was probably the opponent should beat us 7 out of 10 times. So every time we got a win, it was because we overcame those odds, those obstacles. And we came back and we won, a lot of 5-setters, and when we did lose, it was closer games. I think we're right at that point now where this year, if we start to see a couple wins happen, then there can be a trickle-down effect where we get some momentum, get some confidence in ourselves, and start to create an identity. It's very hard with new teams to have that identity as a successful program, as a program that knows how to win, because we haven't historically had anything. So we've been creating that culture in practice. We train really hard, and we've been very successful at everybody competing a lot. This was our first year where we had some competitive roles, and when we did compete in those roles, I think we were more successful as a unit.
And statistically, your team in 2013 improved in virtually every offensive and defensive statistic from the year prior. What were some of the highlights of your season for you? What did you, as a coach, see the most dramatic improvement in, and how do you look to sustain that improvement into year 3?
Well, we look to our training philosophy is that everybody is somewhat interchangeable. So we train everybody in every role, and we had a couple of people in the beginning of the year that were very raw that we were still developing. So one of the highlight moments for me was definitely when we played Penn State Abington. One of our players ended up getting an injury as a defensive specialist. We had another player out with a concussion. We had another player out with a stress fracture. It was a very difficult time for us. And we ended up putting in somebody as a momentary sub, and Antonia, and she ended up overcoming kind of any kind of nervousness. It was her first time really playing that intensely in a game, and she was, nailed it from the service line, nailed it from the serve reception, and really lifted our team up. It was one of those things where everyone was rooting for her, but it ended up every time she'd do something successfully, other people would start doing great things around her too. It was one of our best attacking games. It was one of our best transition games. Our serving system actually worked really effectively. So I would say that game was probably one of those turning points for us.
Generally speaking, talk to us a little about your recruiting class for this upcoming year, 2014, and some of the goals that you have. Knowing what your team can do, like you just mentioned, you saw glimpses of that, what could be. What are some of your goals for your 3rd season here at Wells College coaching women's volleyball?
Well, the first thing is being able to hit the ground running. So we are not going to have to talk too much about the system as we walk in the door. We're going to be able to kind of go after things, get on the serving, get on the offense. And we are bringing in players who are great passers, who are great ball control people, and a couple of very, very good attackers. And that's something that is going to create even more depth for us. Meredith carried a lot of weight. Zakara carried a lot of weight last year. Gina Cairns was great. We had a lot of people contributing in different ways. But if they had an off day, if they had a struggle, if they had a little bit of aches and pains or something, there wasn't someone behind them that could help challenge them. And in practice, it was even more distinct because for me, I believe, 2 teams pushing at each other 6v6 is one of the best ways for us to, harden ourselves for those tougher matches in the year.
Your social media account, Wells College Volleyball on Facebook, is one of the more popular Division III single sport Facebook accounts that there is out there. How do you guys like to have some fun with that? You notice somebody's difference posting something every day. Has that brought the team together? What's kind of your idea behind the social media account?
It was very nerve-wracking at first to relinquish some control of that, which is to say that, in the very beginning, I think coaches are very naturally and rightfully afraid of presenting themselves to the public in any negative way. So when I gave the players a little bit of control on that too and allowed them to be able to post, as well as our managers and the people helping with the team, that made me nervous. But then we started generating really good material. Everybody took it very seriously as far as making sure it was appropriate, and we always went to the boundaries of that so that we could make sure that we weren't also making it sanitized and kind of boring. Everything from the team came over to my house and did goofy pumpkins, and carved them up for Halloween. And they made a pumpkin that looked like my face. At the time I had a goatee, and they carved the goatee out. And, those types of things, making fun of the veins in my head that bulge when I get intense. Those we're right on that edge of, how appropriate is this? How much do we want it? And we made the decision really that that's part of our character. That's part of our team identity, that we're a little bit goofy. We have a lot of fun and we hang out a lot together. That actually became part of the Facebook character too. And you can see that on there, I think, in the videos the kids post, as well as the different pictures and things that we put together.